necessary to take us out of this reality. It makes us realize to look from afar and to reconsider our dense reality. Within this space, let us explore our hidden origins as a hybrid species. This story starts within the plane of existence we refer to as planet Earth. In spite of much opposition, a god has just created two hybrids and set them free to experience an earthly paradise. Although free, these hybrids feel surveilled and their story is about to take an unexpected turn. Throughout history, artists have been fascinated with our creation story and the downfall of our species. As time passes by, new theories try to convince the population through indoctrination. One must question the motives behind these wild claims. Nevertheless, in today's world, a new theory tells of an extraterrestrial race named the Anunnaki. They have created a primitive slave race named the E.Di.N. Let's explore in this journey today and see this fascinating subject concerning our origins. Let's travel far to lose ourselves for a bit, to hopefully find some much needed clarity. Welcome to my space called Deprogramming the Clone into the Human Hybrid. Art is something that attracts millions of people all over the world. They go to the museums, they realize that it's almost as grand as being in some sort of a pantheon of the gods, of the artistic gods, if you will, from Egypt to Africa to Sumeria to the Renaissance to France to New York to Italy. You can experience firsthand what it feels like, in a way, to time travel. I called it a time traveling machine in a way because you actually get to experience yourself in different, in a totally different time, what ancient civilizations never even thought about. What, mummies and pharaohs did not think ever that they would be publicly displayed, for example, in a museum where everyone's taking pictures of them with a cell phone. That's, I think, the least thing that these kings that were buried, layered, and were hidden, the least thing they wanted was to be exposed to this. So museums are a great place to discover this type of hidden secrets and mysteries. True art transcends the superficial. It carries within it a lot of meaning and content, and it's able to transcend space and time. Not every painting expresses this, but one painting that actually opened up my eyes to this aspect was the painting by French artist Jacques-Louis David, The Death of Socrates, painted in 1787. The painting obviously focuses on classical subjects, like many works of the decade, and is actually part of the neoclassical movement. This is the first painting that really expressed how an artist can convey incredible meaning within a painting. I'm not going to get into the superficial aspects of this painting, which you could probably see in other YouTube videos, and and other people do pretty well at explaining the historical elements within this painting of the artist and Socrates and Plato and all the different historical references. I'm actually going to say something else within this video, and I'm going to take you on a different route. The route of actually the artist. This artist was a Freemason, so within his painting one can see a lot of the elements that the Freemasons hold very dearly. Geometry, numerology, esoteric meaning, hidden content, and this artist does an incredible job at that. Within this painting, let's start by looking at the young man that's actually, in distress. This young man seems to be one of Socrates' disciples, lamenting his death and not really being able to accept this fully. He is reluctant to even look at Socrates, and he is actually holding himself, almost like protecting himself from what a lot of the youth actually never really thinks about. To the right of the young man, we have the middle-aged Socrates, sitting down, a lot more solemn and accepting of the path that lies ahead. You could see him in a more of an orange robe, orange being a symbol for restraint. He's a lot more confident. He's sitting down on a chiseled stone. You can see him a lot more relaxed and looking upwards to what lays ahead. Then we have old Socrates. He has completely achieved a strength and an acceptance, and also the courage to transcend the prison of the mind. He actually is wearing white, the color of purity, and he is pointing upwards, letting everyone know that it doesn't lie here, that it's actually elsewhere where we have to go. He is not fearful, and surprisingly looks very youthful at this old stage in his life, which is a representation of strength, inner strength. He's about to partake from the hemlock and transcend. So definitely you see a totally different element there, and there seems to be also a musical instrument behind him where it's also elusive towards a frequency, that he's actually trying to achieve. Left towards the painting, we have basically the corpse. We have the man who just died, and he is solemn. He's actually completely relaxed and sitting down on this slab of stone, and one can see in the bottom a scroll of his writings, his thoughts, everything that he actually has left for mankind to explore. But he has given up on that. He's done. His work, his mission is actually completed. After actually seeing this, right through the arch, you see a tunnel that leads to a stairwell that goes up, and there you see Socrates ascending, escaping the prison of life. So you actually see the whole cycle of life represented within this painting. Now, Jacques-Louis David knew about these concepts because he was a Freemason. So you see 13 people that are in this painting, and you think they're just part of the characters forming this painting, but it's actually, he's giving us the number of reincarnation of the cycle of life. This is not in a number that's placed there accidentally. This is actually a very conscious decision for the artist to place this number. This is the first painting that I actually witnessed, and it totally opened up my mind regarding art. As an adult, I see it with totally different eyes, and I still admire it, and I still discover new things about this painting after all these years. So let's travel a bit in history from 1787 to 2020. And having studied David's Death of Socrates painting, I would like to share my painting, The Creation of God and the Hybrids of Eden. Many artists have depicted these infamous scenes as described by the book of Genesis. We have been made aware of our current dire predicament as a species, which has been expulsed from the comforts of this original Garden of Eden. Our downfall as a species has fascinated artists throughout the centuries. Within my painting, the Garden of Eden is a human technological zoo. I wanted to repurpose this stereotypical image of the garden that has been programmed within our collective psyche. What are we? Is God a construct? Are we products of a dramatic metamorphosis of an ape-like creature? Who's behind the different evolution and creation stories learned from childhood throughout our education and religious institutions? All of these questions we should definitely ask ourselves. This painting was the first to illustrate the concepts all together within one-dimensional plane, executed with a neoclassical style that alludes to antiquity. For both Adam and Eve, the artist used for reference was Claude Marie Dubuffet, a pupil of Jacques-Louis David. I used his painting, Paradise Lost, as a starting point to use the visual story and narrative to start to modify it and place it under a more contemporary context. Both of these figures are holograms being projected to program the hominids about the story of Adam and Eve within the Garden of Eden, supervised by a god. The Garden of Eden starts to morph from an earthly paradise to an extraterrestrial biodome, similar to our contemporary zoos. Within this enclosed compound, the hominids are startled by these magical projections. One can see one of them actually place their hand upon the projection out of just simple curiosity. The snake-like alien within the Garden of Eden is called Enki. He's an alien chief medical scientist responsible for the experiments. He is part of an extraterrestrial race from the planet Nibiru called the Anunnaki. These hierarchy-based alien lifeforms have elongated skulls. Their attire is filled with gold, an important resource to power their civilization. Enki becomes the element that represents the ancient alien theory established by a Soviet and journalist and editor named Zecharia Sitchin, which moved from Israel to New York during the 1950s. According to Sitchin, Enki, the Sumerian god of water and human culture, suggested that to relieve the Anunnaki, he would create an alien hybrid race of primitive workers he named the Adamu. Many have questioned Sitchin's veracity of his translations, and some have even suggested strong ties with Freemasonry and the elite, among them David Rockefeller. This makes one question what hidden agendas might exist by ushering a contemporary ancient alien religion that replaces our Creator with aliens and their technologies. Among the right side of the painting is God, supervising and monitoring the human hybrids. Upon closer examination, one realized that the God is no other than Charles Darwin, an English naturalist, geologist, and biologist, best known for his contributions to the science of evolution. He is God, which visually represents science. Darwin is enthroned as a god and has all the elements of esoteric and hidden meanings around him. He has the all-seeing eye, letting us know that the presence of a secret society is within this image. The all-seeing eye is the great architect or geometry for the Freemasons. And once again, there is a Mason posing as a god. The holograms are contemporary technology, and within God's holographic projectors are written in Sumerian cuneiform language. When looked upon closely and translated, they spell Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam is a conspiracy theory that claims that NASA, in cooperation with other powerful sources and forces, is attempting to implement a New Age religion in which the Antichrist at its head and start a new world order via technologically simulated second coming. So, this painting, there are numerous elements that describe the complex world we live in. One does not know how to separate conspiracy from reality. I have also hidden messages contained within the image of God, a bee, which is a symbol used in Freemasonry, which stands for industry and regeneration, wisdom and obedience. The hive is often seen in Masonic illustrations of the 18th and 19th centuries, and both Clovis and Napoleon adopted the bee as their symbol. The Egyptians used the symbol representing obedience. But in this painting, I have used all symbols to let the viewer know that there is a deception at hand. The meaning behind the all-seeing eye means eyes wide open. The bee represents the word be. And the robe of the god has folds that upon a closer look spell aware. All combined say eyes wide open, be aware. What I'm trying to tell you is that you need to be aware of the deception that is being orchestrated both by NASA and the secret societies that want to keep the population living in ignorance. A subtle element that contradicts the entire painting is the flat earth model, painted right next to the signature. Here I am telling you about another belief system that, although small within the painting, destroys the entire construct. This painting was the first time that the artist within me rebelled against the writer, which was simply trying to make illustrations for the book. Deprogramming the Clone into the Human Hybrid is my latest book, in which I make the reader embark upon a journey through all the theories that have created the construct around us. It is available in Amazon, and I will provide a link for you to further do your research upon this fascinating mystery. Thank you for your time with me today. And remember, have your eyes wide open.